Uh, Greetings. This is going to be a series of videos that will be deeply controversial for the fallen age we're currently living in. But I hope that this video may be an insight in getting to understand myself better, but also an insight of how the world has become the way it is and why there's so many people that are miserable, or depressed and struggling. Because every human has a deep void inside themselves if they want to admit it or not. But in this video, in this controversial topic, I'm going to talk about contrasting person A, person B as I wrote down here, but I shall go into bigger detail on it. There's some basic realities that in this day and age most humans want to ignore because it's too uncomfortable to come to realization, but many people are being lied to, and they think they can have the cake and they can have both the best words in their minds, but the truth is they can't. All humans have limitations. Now, I don't like using the word free will because the truth is that humans, we are limited because we are finite beings. We're not infinitely powerful. So there's limitations on our time, on our energy, on our resources. So in your heart, you might want to will things into existence. Like I would love to be a king and have like a load of territory, and I would love to be extremely powerful, and to have all the resources on the planet to help everyone need, feed, clothe them, and to give them food and nurturing and just. But that is beyond my limitations. My limitations is the time I have and the energy I have. But what pains me is that I live in a world that is there's not much social cohesion. I see fragments of people helping each other, but it's more of the lack of risk of people helping each other. There's this failure to understand some basic truths that we all were created in the image of God. God created us. We're all related to each other, and you have God who came down and dwelt among us and died for us that we may be set free. And yet we ourselves don't judge righteously. We often judge on appearance, not judging someone on their heart. And that's the contrast between God and us. God looks at the heart, we look at the exterior. And there's many people struggling and suffering things, and the Lord gives people stewardship and resources, and what happens is a lot of people squander their stewardship, and unless they repent and come to know the Lord and turn from their wicked ways, they have to take accountability for every second. Because I'd be terrified if someone like on the TV posted up my entire life for everyone to see. Yet people are ironically they have no fear of God, yet they'll be afraid of other people's perceptions of them because it will cause them damage. If someone's extremely promiscuous, they won't want the closest loved ones to find out about that. Or if someone is a thief, they won't want those around them to find out, unless they're a complete sociopath, or they're not afraid of the consequences. But people are afraid of the law, they're afraid of authority, but not the ultimate authority of your soul. They don't care. So people are afraid to lose their life, but not afraid to lose their soul. So you can either have how you choose to use your time, energy, resources and gifts says a lot about you and your priorities. If your priority in life is to build and to create, how you use your time, energy and resources in towards that. Are you willing to sacrifice to achieve those goals, or are you going to compromise? A lot of people sadly compromise, and this is just a life lesson. If you're someone that wants to build a family, go for someone that also wants to build a family, who desires to be a father or mother. If you're someone that desires to go down the career path, then you must realize then that you can't have both a career path. Well, you can in some ways if you have a supportive spouse and things. There's ways that can be balanced. But if it comes at a cost of building the family, then if your line of work comes at the consequences of gets in the way of you building a family, you have to choose. And that's just the reality of it. If you're someone that doesn't seek to nurture and raise your children, you have no business being a father or a mother. Because your responsibility is for you, it's your stewardship over your children, not the state's. And many people in this day and age forget that. So, who you either geared towards as a person, you're either more geared towards the darkness, Satan, or towards light, which is Christ and God. Because of fallen nature, we're more towards Satan. In our fallen, we're more selfish, more self-centered, our motivations of helping persons are wicked, and because our hearts are wicked and deceitful. But when you're given a new heart, when you're born again, your desire is to serve, but then you still have the choice to serve God or to ignore the Holy Spirit, and it will rebuke you if because I pray that He will rebuke any Christian that doesn't do what's righteous and holy. But I see many people in the world that are struggling, suffering, and the Lord gives people stewardship, and it could be something as simple as just giving them food, clothing, encouragement, just to raise them up. But it's much easier for people that are sinners, that are deep in greed, to come to excuse that I'm not going to help the person because it doesn't benefit me, or it's going to take a risk. And they are more likely want to inflict more damage on the person than actually help them. Because for many people, because they live what I call in ivory towers, and same type of people when Jesus on this earth, God incarnate came. If you read scriptures, the main people that the Lord utterly hated and despised were the self-righteous zealots. These are people that have the outward appearance of holiness, that they would talk as if they're nice, caring and good, but their fruits are dead. They're a barren dead tree. And they were stopping people coming into the kingdom. They're stopping people coming to know the light, to know God. And they set up this yoke that was a heavy burden, not realizing the yoke that Christ offered was extremely light, that God offered was extremely light, because they did not know the law. The law was written out, and they did not understand it. That's why God had to come in human flesh and to magnify the law, to explain it to us. So you have people in this world that I see struggling, and people would demonize them. And they themselves have a lack of self-reflection. They have a self-reflection of their own sins, because humans, and this is generally the way that all humans are, I myself included, before my best friend saved me, because I did not know this, we project a lot of our darkness onto others and fail to see the fragments of light, or we project all of our light onto others and we fail to see the darkness in them. I'm the latter. I project a lot of my light onto other people, and I fail to see the darkness in them. I fail to see the fallen state in them and the sins and the fallen flesh in them. And I have high expectations of people because I have high expectations of myself. And when I fall short, I get very upset and disappointed in others, because I have this thing in my mind of how people should interact with each other. Because they say they love each other, and then when they say that, in my mind I have it going in the way that their behaviour should reflect what they're saying, because otherwise they're just lying. They lie in my presence and they lie themselves, but more importantly they lie to God. Because when you say you love someone, you show that by their actions. You show that. How do you lift them up, or do you tear them down? Do you help them in creating things, or do you just destroy them? If you're surrounded by people that are constantly just destroying you, constantly demeaning you, constantly putting you down, there are people that don't love you. Some that love you will tell you the truth, whether it be your spiritual health, even if they hate you for it. It's better for you to show them love, because most humans nowadays don't understand what the word love means. But I bit more writing though, but every person there's consequences. Like men, I say this a lot of men, and a lot of men unfortunately take down lives at a very young age, and I was close to being a statistic of that. You hit your prime when you're in your late 30s and 40s. You have to go through a lot of suffering and pain and rejection, but know so that God Himself was rejected by His own creation, and then take some bit of solace in the suffering and that. Because you can be a father if you're a man, and if you desire to be a father, you can be a father in your 40s and 50s. If not, you could be a father figure onto the orphans and those that are fatherless. If you yourself can't be a father, you can be a father figure onto others. It could be a niece, a nephew, or any child that does not have a father figure. You can be that father figure to them. A woman, they hit their prime in their 20s. Now this is regards to family. What I mean by prime, I mean the ability to create life. So if you're a woman that wants to have children, it's best between the ages of 20 even up, I think as far as I'm aware of, can have children up to 37. But if you have a child in later years, it causes more complications. Also, you must realise the fact then that if you're in your 50s, say 40s and 50s, if you have children, when your children, there's a high probability that you will not see the next generation. So unless you live to be 80 or 90, you won't see your children if they decide then to start a family. Their children won't probably know you as a grandparent. So the more younger you are, the more, like, you could have like 3 generations. You could have like your daughter, your sons and daughters. You know, they're your grand. You could have grandchildren, even great grandchildren. Which is at the end of the day will be more glorious. It's more glorious for a woman to leave a mark on the world through the lives that she created. That is more glorifying to God than a woman who spends her entire life just being selfish and just consumed in sin. So you can either be a slave to sin or God. You can't be both. You can either serve others or serve yourself, and time waits on no one. There's consequences of the choices you make. If you're a woman and if you so choose the out of the will that's God given to you, choose to work in an office job for 30, 20 years, just completely just being consumed in sin, that's your free will. But there's going to be consequences in terms of eternity. There's consequences even in this life. The consequences of that is that you're not going to be able to have a family. If your desire is to be a mother, you can't be a mother and decide to be a full-time, say, manager or full-time in a job that requires a lot of hours. Because that's a lot of hours that you're sacrificing. And I say this personally myself, I ideally would want to work for myself. I would prefer to be in the presence of, if I had children, to be in my presence of children and to steward them and be a father towards them, or even for my children to come work for me when they get older. Than to be apart from them, which is very painful. Like, no parent who truly loves their children wants to be apart from them. The reason why they're working is so that they provide for them. That's the main reason why men work, is to provide for the wife and provide for their family, so that they can build and to build them up, so that they encourage their pursuits. Say if you have a child that's into dancing, a child that's into art or science or architecture, something that's very creative that you want to encourage them in. Could be in farming, etc. That is of a benefit of them spiritually and emotionally and physically. That's something at a very young age you should build a child up in. And if a child decides then, if they want to decide to be a father and a mother, then you should encourage that as well then, and give them advice and things about how to find a suitable partner. One that would agape love them and philia love them, and storge and eros love them. But most importantly is agape love, because if they don't love God, they have no source of loving them. Anyway, this video went all over the place anyway, but to summarise, that we all have choices, and at the end of the day we all take accountability and there's consequences. I know personally that the choices I made, there was severe consequences for it. I learned a lot from that, from those bad choices, because it's made me more wiser. Because if you're a person and you don't take risks, you never learn from it and you never grow, and you develop a fixed mindset. So your intelligence never grows, you just stay stuck where you are, and then you have no intelligence, you have no wisdom and knowledge that you'll be able to pass to other people, because you've never experienced these pitfalls. And because you experienced these pitfalls, you can warn other people about these pitfalls. So, anyway, thanks so much for watching this video.